There's Waycross, Georgia, and as you look back out to the south and west, you can see that the eye of the hurricane is right there, and it is going to track right there. So
we begin our coverage with the Weather Authority's Chief Meteorologist, John Gaughan.
Tom, tough night ahead for folks down south. They'll be the first to be impacted by Matthew. Lots and lots of folks are worried now. In St. Augustine, they're seeing some of the worst right now. Two reasons why. Matthew just off the coast, the eye literally scratching the beaches out there in Flagler and with a hard claw. And also we're getting high tide. So remember, the potential here for catastrophic damage was very real had the storm been just a tad closer to the coast. The eye wall never touched the beaches full on.
John is joining us now. John, this is video of you checking out the damage. You were able to tell a lot from what you saw.
No doubt. And again, we're meeting up with this guy, this gentleman here, Brian. This is actually before Empire Point. This is a couple blocks down. This is near across the street near the Greek Orthodox Church out there on Atlantic Boulevard. But, you know, it was interesting. You go 3 or 4 or 5 blocks down the road, you don't see anything.
And then look at these trees.
And it's not one, but it's like the whole block. And I think it had to do with the wind direction and the funneling that was going on between last night. I mean, a number of texts, Facebook posts, you name it, however people communicate to me, which is just about every way, we were seeing these kind of winds picking up in the evening hours. So a lot of folks saw the storm come through, and they were expecting the big trees to come down then, and then all of a sudden the rain stopped and the big trees started coming down because the winds actually started spiking after the storm was starting to leave a little bit.
Well, because of the soggy ground, there were actually some trees that fell over before the wind started blowing very hard.
That's right. And again, we had that nor'easter, and that was so critical because, you know, I was looking back some of my notes from years gone by, and one of the notes was from George talking about how nor'easters do, in fact, George Winterling, how the nor'easters impact us by helping to keep the storms down south. So we do tend to have an increased tidal surge, which we did the day before, and then, of course, the big rains as well. I want to let everybody understand how lucky we were. And you heard just moments ago that Kent was with the governor and the mayor, and they were flying up the coast, and the governor basically said there was bigger damage down there in Volusia County and southward because you see the eye wall scraped them hard. But it
got closer to them than it did to us.
Right. And let me tell you, it's like if you were to look at this mentally, if I got, like, there's a center of the ring here. That's like the eye of the hurricane, if we will. I'm here. The wind's like 30. I get to here, it's like 35, 40. I get to here, it's like 55, 60. I get close to the edge here. That's the maximum wind, but it doesn't like get, you know, it doesn't go up smooth like this. It goes smooth, smooth, boom. And it's in that ring here. Take a look at this. And again, you'll see that ring illustrating where the highest winds were. So I'm going to back this up so you can see how this all played out. And what happened here is that ring went right off our coast, and this is that 25-mile jog that occurred. This was yesterday, and again, that 25-mile jog was so important, and in fact, it was actually on Thursday. But you can see, I'll just slow it down, how it's coming up the coast. That's going backwards, but here you go. This is what happened for all of us, as again, that ring illustrating that area of intense wind, which is right near the center of the storm, going right just east of Daytona Beach and then up the coast and then just off the coast of Jacksonville, so that finally it went just east of Fernandina Beach. So this is where the highest wind, this is where the real serious part of the hurricane was. And you know, this is the problem that a lot of folks have in trying to relate to the extreme condition and why it was so lucky for us to have that little slight move out to the east. Because you see on the northern side of this ring, and here I'll hopefully get this to go into play, as you can see, this was back earlier in the day yesterday. We were getting all the big rains up and down the coast, but those big rains, as they came rolling up the beaches here, they were very impressive, and the rainfall amounts are up there around 4, 5, 6 inches of rain. And so as we show you that ring of high energy and the big winds, note it just stayed off the coast. So we had wind gusts here around 65, 70 miles an hour. But if you were to be halfway close to the storm, it's probably 85. And then right inside the ring, remember it was a Category 2 hurricane. Those are winds going from about 96 all the way up to about 110. So in that range, these are where the big winds were. And the highest winds are right here in the northern half. So if it were to have crawled up the coast like this, it would have been 95, 110, 115 mile an hour winds riding right up the beach, just as it was doing down there near Volusia, southward all the way down towards Brevard County. And those were the areas that were greatest impacted by this hurricane. We would have seen that storm surge 3 or 4 feet higher. We would have had serious, serious damage up and down the coast. I mean, we have damage. I walked in my neighborhood, there's 50 homes in it. There are 3 with big trees on it. 3 out of 50. Now, you know, it's only about a 6% chance, but when you've never seen it, never had something so widespread like that, it hits you, and it is emotional to see that, and you feel lucky. And, you know, my neighbors, I feel for them. They're blue tarping it now and waiting for the chainsaws to get totally done and cleaning everything up. But that is the difference would have been, had it been on the coast and riding right up the coast, it wouldn't have been 3 out of 50, it would have been 30 out of 50. I've seen the damage Category 4 hurricanes bring, or Category 3 hurricanes bring, and let me tell you, it is 100 times more than what we saw. So that little 25-mile shift on out to the east, and that's the 25 miles right in through about here, made all the difference in the world. Especially once we get past about Jacksonville and looped all the way up there. Brunswick, Georgia was a little bit further on out to the east. So pinpointing the worst of Matthew, the storm surge of water levels, this is over at Mayport, and it does appear the highest level was running at just above 8 feet there. And I'm not sure the exact math here, but it looks like that puts it in the top 5. In one report, it looks like it's in the top 2. But all I'm getting at, they're going to make a huge detailed look at this thing because this is a rare event. What happened to us on Friday yesterday, fingers crossed, it's another 52 years. Of course, the reference is to Dora because that's how long it takes for these severe hurricanes to head our way. Heading on off towards the north, Hurricane Matthew, now going to loop on out to the sea. No longer making that crazy loop, folks. So I told you this wasn't going to play out that way. That was too unbelievable. But what we are going to see are better conditions for us. Here's another look at the satellite radar, and you can see just how close Matthew got to the coast. And you can see that one little wobble right there towards Flagler County, Volusia County, and then now making landfall right in through here. It actually made landfall along the South Carolina coast, and you can see how torn apart he is. He's nothing like he once was as he continues to move on off towards the north. And Live 5 Doppler radars here tonight showing nothing. The coastal flood warning still in effect, but as I should have shown you moments ago, we were showing the tide levels are actually below normal in the winds that are pushing offshore. So if you live at the beach right now going, man, where's all that water go? I thought we had all this 6 inches of rain and stuff. Well, the reality of it is all that rain is now moved off into the coastal waters, but the west and northwesterly winds actually took it all away from us. All right, going to show you the planning forecast because we need some good news. Tom and Joy, this is just phenomenal to think about, but it's going to get chilly starting sometime early Monday morning. Now, some schools are closed, but I got to tell you, everybody getting up Monday morning is going to love it. Tomorrow morning, not too shabby, 62 degrees, afternoon high 83. Beautiful conditions. Look at that low, 53 degrees.
We're looking.
Early. I know, I'm going to be loving that one, even I, who doesn't particularly like the cool weather. Tuesday morning, about 50 degrees, 73 for a high. Now, these are the critical 3 days for what it's worth. You know why? Because power's still out to hundreds of thousands of people. And yes, it was a fairly warm afternoon. Strangely, this cool breeze might keep everybody comfortable, but by early morning conditions will be chilly for those without power. And so you might have to plan ahead a little bit of how you're going to keep things warm inside the house, especially by the time we get to Tuesday morning. And if you live down south into, you know, inland areas along the St. Johns River, Palatka, Putnam County, all the way out along the St. Johns River, you know, even out there towards Switzerland and Fruit Cove, maybe not 50, but you'll be in the low 50s in the morning hours. Cool Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in the morning hours. And there you go, folks, looking all the way to next weekend when we can really get back into our more back to normal. October, typically, Tom, Joy, one of the most beautifulest months we have. It's usually warm water, cool mornings, dry air, and the hurricane season is usually behind us. I'm here to tell you tonight, with Matthew leaving, I believe 2016 is over when it comes to hurricanes. But that leaves 2017, and we'll talk more about that later. Tom?